What's going on, guys? Disorderly Product News. This is a video I put out about 2 months back, and it didn't gain the kind of traction I thought it would. Now, that may be due to the fact that I was not uploading anywhere near as much as I usually did for a while. So when you don't feed YouTube, YouTube kind of steers away from you. So that may have been a part of it, and I'm getting back to it now, and my numbers are coming back. But this was a sheriff in Dallas who came on the scene where a member of the Dallas Fire Rescue, let me say that word again, rescue department, the firefighters in Dallas, he's a member of that, so is his brother. He's also a mixed martial artist, and wouldn't you know that he had a whole photo shoot at the Dallas Fire Department he works at, I'm assuming. If it wasn't the one he works at, that's even weirder. But I got something unique for you guys today. A lot of people ask me why or what happened in the end. What's the follow-up? And a lot of times when we do these videos, me and other people, you can't tell right then because it just happened or it happened a couple months ago. And if they're doing an internal investigation, that could take up to 2 years, right? And when they give a decision, they're not holding a press conference. They've buried the story. They don't, unless somebody's sitting there and waiting for 2 years, somebody that has contacts inside the department and is a journalist, has some kind of platform to disseminate that information, it just gets buried, right? And if it's a court case, that takes a couple years. So it kind of just drifts out of the public's mind. But it's unique here that we actually got the complaint, the internal investigation. And I'm assuming they got it and they disseminated it because there was a lawsuit. But I definitely know it's not Brad Cox's first time running into bullying, putting down, having a serious interaction with somebody who might not have all their mental faculties, somebody who's homeless and is just going through a rough time. So, Cox's treatment of a homeless man outside a soup kitchen in December 2016 drew criminal charges in a federal lawsuit against him. Cox and another paramedic, Kyle Clark, were called to help Herschel Fletcher, who had been robbed and assaulted. Dallas police body camera videos show Clark and Cox at the scene. An officer noted an injury on Fletcher's head. Nevertheless, Clark and Cox cleared Fletcher to ride with the police to the county jail instead of taking him to a hospital. Fletcher was later found dead in his jail cell. Cox and Clark falsely wrote in their reports that police took Fletcher away before they arrived. According to felony indictments against them for tampering with a government record, they were allowed to plead to a misdemeanor in exchange for deferred adjunction, which allows a person to avoid a conviction if he successfully completes probation. Cox started his probation in April of 2019, less than 4 months before he encountered vests on that highway. Fletcher's family is suing Cox and Clark and the city of Dallas in a federal civil court. Cox completed his probation last year. I read in multiple articles that it was even worse than that, that Cox and Clark, along with 2 Dallas police officers, were standing over Mr. Fletcher while he lay on the ground bleeding. He got robbed outside of a soup kitchen. So he's homeless already. He's going to a soup kitchen and he gets robbed outside of a soup kitchen. And the people who are supposed to protect him, the people that are supposed to be there for him when he has nobody else, stood over him, mocked him, laughed at him, and then threw him in a jail cell without any medical attention. And he died overnight. So that's Mr. Cox's background. But we're looking into the case of Kyle Vest, the man he soccer kicked while Mr. Vest was on the ground, on the freeway, for a allegedly starting fires in the grass. So what we have here is, I guess, secret documents from the Public Integrity Office and their investigation. On August 9th, 2019, Detective Allen interviewed Officer Cuddy in the Integrity Unit. Officer Cuddy stated she responded to the location and observed a large portion of burned grass adjacent to the service road. She recalled being advised complainant Vess assaulted DFR Cox, and he sustained minor injuries to the forehead and nose. Officer Cuddy stated complainant Vess appeared to be intoxicated. Officer Cuddy stated as she and Officer Johnson waited for an additional element to assist. With the arrest, complainant Vess looked at DFR Cox. She explained DFR Cox kicked complainant Vess. Complainant Vess immediately stood up and advanced towards DFR Cox. Officer Cuddy stated she deployed her taser at complainant Vess, buttocks and leg, because he was wearing a backpack. She recalled complainant Vess removed the probes and attempted to stand up again. Officer Cuddy stated complainant Vess was eventually handcuffed and transported to redacted. She's got my man Vess here looking like the damn Terminator. Let's see what really happened. So you don't have to take my word for it. The uninterrupted, unredacted version of this body cam footage is in my description. I wish you go look at it because it never happened. He never stood up like the Terminator. He never started stalking the guy after he got soccer kicked in the head, after this guy's shin bone bounced off his, cracked open his skull. I think why this video resonates with so many people is because it's the low-hanging fruit. You picked on the weakest of the weak. Anyways, let's get back to the story. Detective Allen interviewed Officer Johnson in the Public Integrity Unit. Officer Johnson stated upon their arrival he was approached by unknown firemen and advised complainant Vess had assaulted DFR Cox. Officer Johnson stated he walked to the front of the fire engine and observed complainant Vess lying on the road and mumbling. Officer Johnson stated an unknown fireman offered him gloves. He then walked towards the fire engine and heard a taser being deployed. Officer Johnson stated he quickly returned to the front of the fire engine and observed complainant Vess on the ground. Officer Johnson stated he observed complainant Vess sit up and he pointed his taser at him and gave loud verbal commands. Complainant Vess failed to comply with the commands and he was eventually placed in handcuffs. Conclusion: investigators were unable to ascertain specific elements of a criminal offense from complainant Vess regarding his interaction with DFR Cox. All contact between law enforcement officers and complainant Vess were documented via audio recordings and body-worn cameras. This investigation will be classified as closed and will be forwarded to the Dallas Fire Department Internal Affairs Division for administrative review. So what they're saying is the investigators were unable to ascertain specific elements of a crime offense from Vess. Vess is the man on the ground, the man that supposedly started the fire. And if you can't ascertain a crime from him, then your officers have to be lying. Because they're saying he just jumping up like the Terminator and he hit him on the bridge of the nose and he did all this. But you got body-worn cameras. None of that is showing that. So if these officers are stating that they saw Cox get assaulted, him charge him, him get up, him just rip probes out of him and keep on going, then that would be reflected on your body-worn camera because you couldn't see it with your eyes unless you were looking at it straight on. Then it would be reflected in your body-worn camera. So why is everything you're saying in your reports not reflected on your camera? Oh, Houston, we got a problem. One thing that might be confusing here is when this supervising officer comes on the scene, he says, we didn't do anything. All our body cameras were on. And one of his deputies says, yeah, we just held him down. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's impossible. That's crazy. We saw what law enforcement did. They're sheriffs. They're not police officers. There's Dallas police officers on the scene. So that part may be confusing and confuse me, but there are two different law enforcement departments on the scene. The Dallas County Sheriff's Department and the Dallas Police Department. And it was the Dallas Police Department that sent the probes flying through the air after Mr. Vess was battered by firefighter Cox. Inside this internal report, we even got a witness contact form. Kevin Vess. What does it say? He's 57. That might be his dad. He's the owner of. It's hard to read that. But yeah, I would imagine that would probably be his dad. And what you guys have been waiting for. Now, this was also in the public file. These text messages. It's not clear who these text messages are to or from. Now, I've had a hard time trying to find this file again. In fact, it took me a day and a half. I still haven't found the file again as far as these text messages and stuff. Now, these are not in the right order, and some of them may be redacted. They're still interesting nonetheless. Now, it sounds like it's a co-worker of the firefighter Vess's talking to somebody else. So it says, apparently, then threw the pipe at them and then charged them. I am so sorry to hear about that. Risking a life of a fireman. He picked the wrong one to F with. Some big black fireman? LOL. I don't know if it's black or not, but he is professional cage fighter. And spend time in his spare time. Damn it. He never choose fights too well. LOL. I was told 3 police officers could not handle him and they turned him back over to that fireman. So it sounds like they're saying 3 police officers could not handle Vest, so they turned him back over to Cox. Just double checked and found out he was transferred to Lou Street earlier today. Oh, okay. That's interesting. You said that he charged the fireman, EMS, for what, I wonder? I was told they told him to stop lighting fires and he wouldn't. They approached him and he started swinging a piece of pipe at them. Apparently then threw the pipe at them and then charged them. Why do you think I just call the cops whenever he gives me problems? I am too old to deal with it. Plus out of shape, LOL. Exactly. Alan, that worked for me for years, told me about calls they would go on and have to deal with these people. He had a couple of close calls. So that was weird. It seems like neither one of those people know Cox personally because they didn't know if he was black or white, but they know he's a cage fighter. So how that came out in the public record or why it did, I'm not sure. But it seems like those are 2 firemen. They may be administrators. They may be administration. That's why it came out. I'm not sure. But now, listen to this because this is going to make you sick to your stomach. And if I can find the files, and when I find the files, I'll put a link to them in the description and I'll pin them at the top so you guys can read them if you want to take your time and do that. But this is about to make you sick. Watch. So the Dallas Observer on November 15, 2021 talks about Cox actually losing his license. So he's not even licensed anymore in the state of Dallas to be a paramedic, but he also lost his job. That's November 15th, 2021. But come just a couple of days ago, State Health Department lifts emergency suspension of ex-Dallas paramedic seen kicking man on camera. The Texas Department of State Health Services is still investigating and could take action on his certification again. So they reinstated it. State Department lifts emergency suspension. This is a man who kicked a man while he was down. He stood over another man and laughed. That man died in his cell. Like, what else do you want? Is he not proven that he's unfit to be a paramedic? I had to say. As the state continues its investigation into Brad Cox, a former paramedic who was filmed kicking a mentally ill man in Dallas, the Department of State Health Services has decided that he can continue working. In October, DSHS issued an emergency suspension of Cox's license after receiving a complaint from Dallas Fire Rescue where Cox was employed when he kicked Kyle Vest in the head in August of 2019. Cox appealed the decision shortly after, but a corrected error in the complaint led DSHS to lift the suspension last week. Dallas Morning News first reported Friday the complaint DFR sent to DHS DSHS incorrectly identified Cox as a primary caregiver on the scene that day. DSHS lifted the suspension after DFR sent the agency amended paperwork regarding the complaint. Because the emergency suspension in this case was connected to an imminent danger during patient care. The amended record prompted the suspension to be lifted. A DHS told the she said Cox. So it seems like it's just paperwork. It's just a yeah. It seems like it's just a matter of red tape and bureaucracy and being filed wrong. Lastly, my name is Disorderly Product News, and I want to wish you and yours a very safe and happy holidays. I cannot express how grateful I am to have the subscribers I have. I really am a blessed person. So, from Chicago, Disorderly Product News, Reagan Fitzgerald Peabody, and the rest of the DPN staff want to wish you and yours a safe and happy Christmas, Kwanzaa, Festivus, whatever you celebrate. Good night.